I'll try not to wander around too much so you can hear me through the mic a little bit. Yeah, as I've said before, my name is Jacob Landis. I'm the program director at Meadow Haven Camp and Retreat Center in Illinois. And today, Megan and I will be splitting these chapel times and hopefully stirring up some positive feelings about camp and maybe creating some interest in some of you to work at a summer camp or maybe nudge some of your friends to work at a summer camp or something like that. My talk actually is modified from a paper that I wrote in a seminary class, and so it's going to be a little bit more at the theoretical level of things. I'll try to make it interesting and not bore you to death. Megan will probably be a little bit more practical and creative and fun. We'll see. I don't know what she's going to talk about. But I'm going to be talking about the power of camp. Why do we have camps? Why are camps something that is prevalent in our society? And camping as we know it, where kids are sent off to summer camp, is something that's been going on for around 100 years or so in this North American setting. But the idea of camp and some of the foundational values of camp are something that's been going on since the early days. And we actually see it in patterns repeated throughout the Bible, which I think is awesome, and which kind of gives some credibility to this idea of the power of camp. So the first thing you think of when you're thinking about camp is that it's outside. Most of us have this idea that camp is a place where there are trees, and there are grass, and there's dirt, and there's mosquitoes, and it's hot and sweaty, and we're in nature, right? That's kind of what we think of when we think of camp. And I think this is kind of a really important part of camp. You can have camp in the city, and there's camps that do that well, but there's something special about being in creation, about being in nature. I see creation as the fingerprints of God. God spoke and creation was. And in creation, we can actually connect with God at a deeper level. It's one of the ways that God uses to communicate to us. So I went to Heston College a number of years back, so I kind of know some of this. But how many of you guys have sat and watched a storm roll across the plains and just marveled at the power of God and the thunder and the clouds? Or maybe you've sat and watched the sunset and just marveled at the beauty and how awesome and creative God is, just mixing all of those beautiful colors. Or maybe you've been walking and the wind just kind of blew just right, or the sun touched you, or you heard the birds or saw something, and you just had a moment where you could feel closer to God. I think God meets us in creation in a special way that we don't experience in other parts of our lives. But God also calls us into a wilderness at times, for our growth often. And this is where we see this often in the Bible. All the way from Adam when he went into a wilderness out of the Garden of Eden, and Abraham who was led out of the city to wander for his life, and the Exodus, the slaves wandering in the desert, Elijah going to the mountaintop and experiencing God, Jesus going into the wilderness for temptation, but then also to go to pray and connect with God, the disciples being led to the wilderness, Paul and even John on Patmos experiencing the revelation. It's a pattern we see over and over again, that God takes people into wilderness and into nature to help them to grow and to be more connected to their God. It's also a place where we realize that we're not in control. So we sit outside and we realize that no matter how much we really wanted, we could not stop the wind, that the sun keeps beating down on us, that we are just humans and the world is bigger, and there are some forces out there that are beyond our control. It opens our eyes and our hearts to something bigger and beyond us. It's a place where we can be separated and away from noise and distractions and things like that. So yes, camp is a place in nature, but it's so much more deeper and important than just we're going to go get sweaty and have fun in the mud or something like that. Camp is also, though, not just a place in nature, but it's also a temporary community. And this is very important. You guys are all right now in a temporary community. You are in college for a set amount of time. These are kind of the people you'll be hanging out with, and eventually you will go and move on from this place. And temporary communities are actually a really powerful force, a really powerful way of being together. One person says that when you're removed from your normal communities and go into a temporary community, you're removed from your permanent systems where your patterns and habits and routines govern your lives. And in that temporary system, you're actually put in something similar to a culture shock environment. The way that you do things outside of the camping world is one way, but then when you go to camp for a week or for a summer, Suddenly there's a new way of communicating. There's maybe some different words that enter your vocabulary, a different way of relating to people. And it creates culture-like symptoms. I know Tabor has a little bit of a cross-cultural program, and so some of you might have experienced this to some extent. But in a culture shock and moving between cultures, your identity becomes open to more things. You begin to recognize some things that maybe don't align with the way that you thought the world worked. Maybe recognize some inconsistencies in your life. So by going into a temporary community, your identity is open to new things. And in camp, and in Christian camping, this is a place where Christian ministry people, camp ministry leaders, can come together to support their campers and offer biblical and Christ-centered solutions to this transition in identity that they experience. And the key in these temporary communities is that they are temporary. There is an end point. So in the Bible, we again see many people go into these temporary or liminal spaces. It provides a way of looking at the life outside of what you normally experience. So for me, I actually went on some cross-cultural adventures. I was in the Middle East for a semester studying in Israel and Turkey and Greece and Rome. And in there, I began to question, in a lot of those places, water is a key issue. And so I became more conscious of the way that I used water. Maybe some of you have experienced similar things traveling. And camp, it can be a place where you look at your life and maybe I'm kind of a bully outside of camp or something like that. And you become open to more ideas. So camp is a place for outdoor settings, temporary community. It's also a place where, if you're in Christian camping, there's a spiritual focus. So there's lots of camps that are not Christian camps, and they just teach we have good values here. But all of us here today are from Christian camping backgrounds, where there is a spiritual focus to this community. And that's an important thing, too, because in this spiritual atmosphere, it provides a way of looking at how life could be like if you would structure your life around Christ or Jesus for a time in your life. So you're going from your day-to-day life to suddenly you're worshiping 2, 3, or 4 times a day at different chapels or nighttime campfires. You're reading the Bible and Bible study every day. You're having different types of conversations. And now at camp, we don't force people to have a certain view about God or force God into their lives, but we like to create spaces for God to work in people's lives. So all of these places for worship are just creating opportunities for God to speak into the lives of our campers and hopefully our staff as well. Camp is not just a power for our campers, but it's a power for our staff to be transformed and grow as well. And part of this next one here, so we have the outdoor temporary community, spiritual focus, but it's also a place where people come to be mentored. So campers come, and they are mentored, obviously, by the summer staff, but the summer staff are mentored by the full-time staff and sometimes the other staff around there. And these people provide role models for the Christian journey and what the Christian life can look like. They walk with the campers through their questions that they have, and they provide an opportunity to model Christ-like behaviors in the day-to-day life. And this is, I think, what brings up one of what I believe and what my passion is, one of the most important things for Christian camping for all of you guys, and that's leadership development. At camp, and you're working in a summer staff role, you are placed in a position of a lot of responsibility. If you're working as a counselor, you have the lives of 8 to 10 or 12 campers in your hands. You're given responsibility for their needs. You walk with them through the day. Obviously, you're not alone in that. There's many other people helping you to juggle that. But you begin to experience responsibility. I know of one person who was working at hiring accountants for their company. And they made some comment to the effect of, well, if somebody can handle 12 rowdy 10-year-olds, then they can definitely work in our work environment. It was a plus for them to be able to have experience working at camp. Rob Ribby, who's a professor at Wheaton College in Illinois, puts it this way. He says that in the Christian camp environment, the permanent professional staff perform the role of equippers, helping the seasonal staff to discover their God-given gifts and passions, while enabling them with the appropriate knowledge, skills, and attitudes for a life of service and ministry to God's kingdom. If camps do their jobs well, they are not only providing quality ministry for that summer, but they are also supplying the church with a generation of better equipped lay leaders and ministers. This is the opportunity that I would like to provide for all of you. If you stop by our booths or contact some other camps you maybe grew up going to, it's a place where you can be equipped to be leaders and the next generation and the current leaders of the church today. That's part of the power of camp. It's this place where you can experience God, where you can be transformed in a community, where you can learn and experience God in your day-to-day life multiple times a day, and you can be equipped to be leaders, both when you come back on campus and hopefully for the rest of your lives. So that's what I think the power of camp is. And now we'll see what Megan has to say.
One of our favorite pastimes at Crooked Creek is rewriting the lyrics of songs to fit with camp, which is how we got our very own camp song. When I Come to Camp, sung to the tune of Green Day's When I Come Around. It goes, well, I learned my 1, 2, 3s, then I learned my ABCs. Okay, I'm really sorry, but I was just going to read it, but I don't really feel like I can do it justice without singing it, so I apologize already that you are going to have to listen to me sing because that is not something I professed that I do well, so my apologies. Then I learned the golden rule when I went to Bible school, but school is out and I am bored because I can't drive. But I won't be lonely now, 'cause I have a crazy plan. Don't look for me at Casey's or at JW's or window shopping with my sister at the mall. Don't try to search the world, you scamp, 'cause you know where I'll be found when I come to camp, Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek. When I come to camp, Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek. So this song was written by one of our program coordinators many moons ago. Woo! Yes, thank you. Woo! It was written by one of our program coordinators many moons ago, and one of the things I love about it is its simple description of camp life. So there's verse 2. Oh boy. Thought I heard it all before, but I still come back for more. And I thank you not to make fun of my ugly counselor. At least she's not as bad as the guy who leads songs. There's a raccoon at my door. Wish my bunkmate wouldn't snore. Hope I don't lose my swimming suit when I'm doing a crazy dive, or get poison ivy when I'm playing capture the flag. My sleeping bag is damp, but I still feel like a champ when I come to camp, Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek. When I come to camp, Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek. Okay, that's all the verses for now. I won't sing anymore, I promise. Though we sing this song throughout the week, my favorite time is on the last chapel. It's Friday morning because the campers and counselors alike can now insert their own experiences, thoughts, ideas, and that I won't have, excuse me, I've just lost my spot. Experience as they belt this familiar tune. And though I'm representing Crooked Creek, any of the camps here today could replace our camp name with theirs and sing a somewhat familiar tune. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, when I come to camp. Though what we experience is different as staff members or counselors, campers, etc., it's also a beautiful shared community that Jacob talked about earlier. And then it's like no other. There will be many stories, experiences, thoughts, ideas that I won't have represented. And I recognize that this is only a glimpse and definitely comes from an Iowa slant. And that's part of the beauty of camp. They're so different, and there's 1,000 more possibilities in one single day. I strongly urge you to consider a summer outside of the norm and talk to someone about working at camp. When I come to camp, there is no sense of time. Days are measured by laughter, and night by still what's yet to come. When I come to camp, it's somehow always sunny, because even when it rains, we rejoice in the moment. And when it storms, we have singing battles while taking shelter in the bathrooms. When I come to camp, somehow I'm a great singer. Even when I don't know the words or can't carry a tune, I can belt with my whole heart and know that I'm right on pitch. When I come to camp, the food somehow tastes better when it's slightly smoky with the chance of a mosquito or two mixed in for protein. When I come to camp, God becomes so much bigger, whether it's he God or she God or somewhere in between God, because when I look up at the stars at night, I know they're meant for everyone. When I come to camp, I'm okay with the messy, from the paint to the dirt or the state of our cabin. When I come to camp, I think I'll die without my phone, but halfway through the week, I realize I somehow don't even miss it. When I come to camp, I watch my fellow counselors lead by example and learn what it means to be a servant. When I come to camp, I don't have to go by my given name, and instead go by Pistachio. When I come to camp, I'm actually included, and when I go off the diving board for the first time in my life, my cabin mates cheer for me and tell me, well done. When I come to camp, I have instant community that builds me up and has my back. When I come to camp, it's okay for me to cry, whether it's from belly over laughter or being moved by a song. When I come to camp, I learn important life skills like cup stacking and bead making that I know I'll use in the future. When I come to camp, I may only be staying for 2 nights, but I have 2 sweatshirts, sunglasses, 3 pairs of pants, a bath towel, a beach towel, flashlight with extra batteries, shorts, suntan lotion, suntan spray, umbrella, hat, bandana, 5 t-shirts, 1 to start each day off and change into after swimming in case of a spill, shower shoes, swimsuits, tennis shoes, hiking boots, shoes that can get muddy, flip-flops, and shower sleeping bag, pillow, and sheets, pajamas, but forgot extra underwear. When I come to camp, I learn life skills I'll actually use, like fire building, transition games, peer-to-peer conflict resolution, and the best way to make a s'more. When I come to camp, my favorite food becomes spaghetti or peas or any of the foods we eat on covered tables without any silverware or a care in the world. When I come to camp, I'm challenged in my faith, encouraged to ask questions while seeking truth. When I come to camp, I pray that somehow our houses will be struck down by tornadoes so that we can all stay here for at least 6 more weeks. When I come to camp, I know that if it has leaves of 3, you let it be. And don't scratch your bug bites. When I come to camp, I share a prayer request from a friend entering basic training, while my pacifist friend puts their arms around my shoulders in a comforting hug and asks, "How are you doing?" When I come to camp, even I have something to offer, and the cool kids know my name. When I come to camp, I notice little things I've never considered, the patterns of a leaf, a bunny's zigzag hop, or the sounds of a trickling stream. When I come to camp, I can be who I need to be because somehow the wilderness allows my heart to be free. When I come to camp, I've learned to whisper oh so quietly so that during rest time, even the counselors don't know that I'm talking. When I come to camp, I pretend snakes don't scare me and spiders are the norm. That's not even true. When I come to camp, I don't need to take showers because I go swimming regularly and my counselors don't. When I come to camp, I actually sleep through the night, even when I can't sometimes at home, from bad dreams or worse realities. When I come to camp, I'm supported by the staff and have conversations about the tough things as we celebrate our differences. When I come to camp, I feel like I belong and know the secret handshake that our cabin devised during rest time. When I come to camp, days are hot and nights are cool. The bugs are terrible and my clothes smell like smoke. Laughter is a constant hum and I feel at home. When I come to camp, I'm not afraid to ask questions like, do you have a girlfriend? Or why does God let bad things happen to good people? And can I get seconds? When I come to camp, campfires become sacred, and the stories shared around the circle have never rung more true. When I come to camp, I'm told somehow I'll make a difference in the lives of youth, shaping and molding our future generations. But by the end of summer, I'm the one who's been transformed. When I come to camp, I've felt truly loved. When I come to camp.